It's not very good.
I would definitely put it in the top 10.
So good.
It's kind of a mess.
A great work of cinema.
Train wreck.
Beyond a slasher, beyond a jump scare.
More thought has gone into the story.
Respecting the source material.
Extremely gory, extremely violent.
The lighting, the sets, the costuming.
Extremely scary.
Well staged, well shot, well acted.
I saw the comedy for what it is.
Relentless.
It was just really, really good.
This is pretty cool.
Another reason why I think it's
So good.
Silent breed is people!
Hello and welcome out there in podcast and YouTube land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, a podcast and YouTube channel where two guys talk about horror movies, science fiction movies, sometimes television, sometimes literature, all kinds of topics related to those two genres. We explore key influences, hence the title, on that particular topic of the week, and then things that topic influence moving forward, all the key elements from it. We sometimes do deep dives, we sometimes gloss over and just ramble because we're unscripted, and that's just the way we like to do what we do. We've been doing it for a few years. If you're new to us, we would love to find out how you heard about us. Was it from a friend, a marketing angle, whatever? Let us know downstairs there in the comments down below, and also you could click subscribe, like. We have a ton of content for you to peruse and appreciate. My name is David, here with my good friend Tim. Tim, what have you been doing? We start off all the time saying, what did you do this week, genre-wise? Have fun?
Well, first, I want to congratulate you on a great introduction.
Well, thank you so much. I tried. It's our 8th year. Hopefully we got it down by now.
Yeah. I will point out, though, that you can almost make the hence our title sound a little shady.
Oh,
Which
true.
I thought was funny. It's like, if you don't get that, then why are you here?
Why are you here? What brought you?
Oh my gosh. Well, to break the ice, we normally do a genre topic of the week. And you and I, before we started recording this, we're talking about a docuseries. And I basically am going to talk about season 2 of a docuseries that I enjoy called Horror's Greatest Movies to Die For.
To die for. And this is a
Yes.
Shudder thing?
It is a Shudder thing. One episode last season, I covered season 1 because these seasons have come out really close together. I almost wonder if they filmed them all and then broke it into 2 seasons just for
Probably
monetary reasons. I don't know. Because it is the same contributors. And if you remember what I liked about the first season, it was the contributors and its wide variety of topics, because the episode topics are really fun. It's written and directed by Kurt Saenga, same guy. He is also a producer of the Eli Roth History of Horror show, which I like, as well as my favorite docuseries on Shudder, 101 Scariest Movie Moments of All Time, which you should watch that one. That one's incredible.
Okay.
Some of the contributors that are back are David Desmalchian, Kate Siegel, Dana Gould, Alex Winter, Tanner Dew, and Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. A synopsis of the series, Horror's Greatest Movies to Die For, is a TV series exploring the history and impact of horror films, examining tropes, subgenres, and the filmmakers behind them. Mm-hmm. If you remember, season 1 episodes were tropes and cliches, giant monsters, Japanese horror, horror comedies, and Stephen King adaptations.
Okay.
The second season is animal attacks, killer dates, hidden gems, film scores, which was my favorite, probably. Yeah. Film scores is a great episode, and space horror. So you see what I mean by how unique the topics are? Yeah, they're awesome. So I highly recommend it. It doesn't get a rating on Rotten Tomatoes because they don't do television series. However, IMDb gives it 7.5 out of 10. And I agree with that, mainly because there's going to be an episode or 2 that you're less interested in, like horror comedies. So, but you can't please everybody. So it's still a great show. And that's what I did.
Interesting.
Or its greatest.
Interesting. My genre topic of the week I've been holding for a little while, but I wanted to mention it, and maybe you can catch up too, because I know you appreciate it. But I'm going to say my topic this week was Black Mirror, season 7, which I finally finished.
Okay. How many episodes?
There are only 6
Okay.
in this season, so it's a pretty quick watch. For those of you who don't know, I highly recommend it as a science fiction slash terror suspense at times anthology series. It was created by Charlie Brooker. It came out, the first episode came out in 2011. So it's been around for a while. It started out as a Channel 4 BBC series, so it only had like 3 episodes per season. Then they did a special Christmas episode, almost like a condensed movie. It was about just a little over an hour, called White Christmas, which had John Hamm in it. It was very popular. But the BBC was going to cancel it. Netflix bought it. And so the last 4 seasons have been done by Netflix. And a variety of episodes per season. One year they did 10. One year but most of the time they're doing 6 to 8, like normal streaming is now. For those of you who follow us, remember I mentioned this last season or season before last, because I watched the last season 6, and didn't like it. And I think you watched that one too, right? You watched that whole season.
I've never watched a whole season, and I really haven't watched them since the early ones, like season 1 or 3, maybe.
Right. And there's only 33 episodes. So it might be something that we might want to consider for Patreon or for a secondary kind of special or something like that, because it would be interesting to, I'd love to get your reaction to some of these, and it would be fun to talk about. And to me, they're terrifying because they're so realistic in their technology and what the technology could do, especially the past 2 seasons. A lot of AI, a lot of sentience, a lot of how much power are we giving technology over our lives and control and surveillance and the government, and so topical now. So this one was I said I covered last season. Season 6 was not good. I only liked one
you told
episode.
me it was more horror related with like werewolves and stuff.
Yeah, there were werewolves, there were monsters. He was trying new stuff because Brooker has basically written or co-written almost every episode. So they're all.
I admire that.
And yeah,
it's very Rod Serling.
Yes. And so to be able to be that challenging with these heady, very intellectual, technology-driven stories is an asset that he has, and he's very good at it. But he kind of lost his way last year because one entire episode is like 90 minutes long. It's about a demon. And it's like, okay, let's go. I'm over it. But you might like it. I don't know. I did not prefer. I did not like last season. This season only had 1 clunky episode. The rest of them were really, really good. 2 of them were incredibly strong. It's a great series. If you guys haven't done it, it's 40, sometimes 43 minutes an episode. So they're in and out. And they're pretty good to watch. You could binge an entire season. Of course, the early seasons are only 3 episodes. You can binge them in a few hours. But it's also won several Emmy Awards. It's got the distinction of winning 3 consecutive Emmys for a television movie, because they also expanded a couple of years ago. It was post-COVID. They were trying to come back and everything else, and they did a full-length movie called Bandersnatch, which is interactive. So the technology alone to do what they did is cool, and the fact that they're talking about technology in the story. But basically every few minutes you have an option of A or B, and whatever you pick affects everything down the line, cascading. It's like those old books we used to get where it was a book, and if you say yes, turn to page 65. If you say no, turn to page 110. So it's that kind of branching storytelling. Anyway, loved it. I highly recommend it. There are a couple episodes that are awesome, and this one has the first sequel to a previous episode, which I thought was a cool idea, and they do it well. So I watched Black Mirror, and you watched a documentary on monsters. Movies, horror.
On movies, horror movies.
Yeah.
And, well, the first episode of the first season, the one I talked about, was called Giant Monsters.
Well, yeah.
And there's some giant monsters in today's subject matter.
There are. Yes.
Welcome back to our show. This is the main part of the show where we talk about a feature film. And our feature film for this week is 1990's Tremors. I've been wanting to get to this one for a while. This is a nostalgic favorite for me, which is a little ironic because in watching it actually it's not a second time. It's probably about the sixth time I've seen it. I never really realized how much of a horror comedy it is. So it does fall into the lines of horror comedy a bit.
Yes. Yes.
A brief synopsis: repairman Val McKee, played by Kevin Bacon, and Earl Bassett, played by Fred Ward, are tired of their dull lives in a small desert town of Perfection, Nevada. But as they try to skip town, they happen upon a series of mysterious deaths, starting with a guy that's up on a telephone pole, if I do recall. And they encounter a concerned seismologist setting unnatural readings below the ground. With the help of an eccentric couple, I like they use the word eccentric for Reba McEntire and Michael Gross's characters, because they're like gun hoarders, survivalists, for lack of better words.
Prep.
Yeah. The group fights for survival against giant worms in the desert that are hungry for human flesh. Wasn't there 4 in total?
For 4, yeah, because they kill one in the canal.
And then there's at least 3 more left. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. This movie was very popular and spawned many sequels and a television series.
Yeah, I don't see how that was possible, but I haven't watched any of them. So
I don't know that I have either. I've seen pieces of them, and I was not impressed, because to me, one of the reasons this movie works is the cast, and in the future installments, Michael Gross is the only one that ever came back for them.
in research, yes, that's what I found,
Okay.
that he's basically the linchpin to the sequels. I'm not sure about the series. I'm not sure if the series was a reboot or whatever. But
I don't know.
But yeah, if you did not have Val and Earl, they add so much to this story in a very, what was the series where the rednecks won the lottery? Do you remember that series? It had like
Duck Dynasty? No.
No, that's a reality.
I was going to say, I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like it.
No, there was, I cannot remember it, but it was, I'll need to look it up. But anyway, there was a series about, and it lasted a few seasons.
The Beverly Hillbillies?
Same thing. This is Beverly Hillbillies if both of the leads were Jethro. So that's kind of what I was getting at, was it has that, I don't want to say down home or rednecky, that some people get offended by that, but it has that aesthetic to it.
Right.
These guys just do what they do. They're just good old working boys, and they don't want to deal with these mother humpers or whatever. So it's a good old boy story, I guess.
And your first encounter with this movie and reaction?
My first encounter was about 2 days ago when I watched it.
Oh.
And I had never seen it before. Of course, I've heard of it, and I've seen a few clips of like the ground going in a row.
Well, I mean, it is 35 years old.
But yeah, and in compilations of horror movies through the years, but I've never watched it. Not a huge redneck aesthetic fan to begin with, so that I didn't like Footloose either, and people love it. So it's not that I don't like Kevin Bacon. He's a great actor and has done some cool stuff. This movie never intrigued me at all, mostly because it's giant desert worms. I was going, okay, so it's Redneck Dune? What is it? I don't understand.
Well, not exactly, but it's definitely worms in a desert.
Yes. One of the things I liked about it was the worm design. I thought it wasn't a typical, just a big round maw or something like that, like the sandworms in Dune. These things had these pincher teeth things. And
they had these weird snakehead tentacles that come out.
Yeah,
too.
that would bite and pull. And so I thought the design was pretty cool, and it looked practical. Obviously, this is 90, so it probably was practical. And that overall, it worked really well. It was a lot of of good suspense in the fact that we've mentioned it 2 or 3 times over the course of the podcast of a lot of times terror comes from what you don't see. It's there, but you can't see it, whether it's the little doll in Trilogy of Terror, or whether it's a ghost that's in the room, or a little bug, or a giant worm that you can't tell where it's coming from. So that goes with suspense for me.
The don't fall in the lava trick.
Well,
Stay on the rocks.
This whole movie is, don't fall in the lava. That's a huge key for this.
Yeah, it is. I have many ties to this film that come to mind. The first one is mainly David Farmer, an old friend of ours, is no longer with us. He actually wanted me to go see this movie, and he was not the horror movie person. I'm the horror movie person.
Right.
But he was a country music person, and it was Reba McEntire's first movie, and he wanted to see it.
Of course he did.
So I saw it with him, and I was completely blown away by how much fun I had watching it.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, it's a popcorn movie, and it's also a comedy horror movie, which is not my favorite genre. However, I would equate this movie with Return of the Living Dead as far as its silliness. Yes. It's just, it works. It knows its genre. Return of the Living Dead knew its genre. And so that's why the humor works. I do think when I started watching it the other day that I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Because the first few scenes with Val and Earl, I was like, they are way overplaying this, and I'm not sure I'm going to like it anymore. But then once the rest of the cast comes in, everything falls into place. Everybody has their own niche, and it works. But the very introduction, I was like, ooh, Kevin, you are overplaying this. Stop it.
And Fred Ward, both of them were really pushing it, and I had exactly the same reaction.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm not going to like it. But then once the rest of the people came in, I was fine.
If this whole movie's like this, I'm not going to be able to take it. But as the fear came in, they toned that down.
They do, and they bring in the humanity, like the whole Earl wanting Kevin to succeed with a girl, and ends up being a little bit less comedic and a little bit more heartfelt, I guess would be, for lack of better words. But the other thing I was going to say that I would equate this movie with is movies that I'm not really a big fan of from the 80s that I remember you and Lee liking, or at least knowing of, like Critters.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like weird monsters in the desert.
Well, Critters wasn't necessarily in the desert. It was for a bit, but it was also...
They looked like tumbleweeds, didn't they?
Well, they rolled. It wasn't...
Yeah, it was a dumb movie.
Yeah, but it was along the lines of, that's a Gremlins ripoff.
Yeah,
basically.
It is, you're right.
And so this to me is more, we're already into keys, but this to me is more like Them, or Monolith Monsters, or those 50s bug-eyed monster. How does the town and the team and the heroes react to this isolation and this monster attack feel? That's what this one had. I think Critters is much more of these alien monsters are taking over the town. It's very Gremlins-y. But yeah.
Well, actually, these do take over the town. They basically isolate these people.
Well, yeah, but it's a town of like 16 or something.
Oh, man, it's a great set, though. They built that whole thing.
They did. I did see that
awesome.
in research, that they went to Lone Pines, California, and they built this entire town.
It's very small, but it's cute.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into a little bit of the production. Ron Underwood directed it. It was his feature debut. And because of its success, he went on to do City Slickers, for which he won an Oscar, or at least Jack Palance did, playing a role in that movie.
Yeah.
He has also gone on to do the remake of Mighty Joe Young, which I have not seen. I've got that he did tons of TV too, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Tales of the Walking Dead, and Elsbeth, which is very current. So Ron Underwood is still working because of this film.
Yeah.
It was written by S.S. Wilson, who wrote Short Circuit, which is not a comedy that I like, Wild Wild West, which is not a comedy that I like, and the Tremors TV series.
The only reason this movie got made is because of him, in my opinion. And
Because of Short Circuit.
Well, Short Circuit,
Yeah.
Circuit 2, Batteries Not Included, all of those he had written prior
Mm-hmm.
to this. And that gave him enough clout to say, hey, give me the money to do this new story I have.
Yeah, and it's two of them because I have Brent Maddock down as the same. So they were writing partners on all of those.
Yeah, they were. Both of them, and they co-wrote all of it, including Tremors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Short Circuit, Batteries Not Included, Short Circuit 2. They also worked with Don Bluth on The Land Before Time. So,
Okay.
and all that gave them a bunch of Hollywood clout at the time. So they could say,
and
hey, I want to do a
said-
giant worm movie.
Right, a giant worm movie. And I happened to say that this was a hit, and it actually was not a hit during its theatrical run. But when it came out on video, it went like viral.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was a huge video success, which I guess warrants all the other movies.
Well, you saw that poster everywhere, that Jaws-inspired poster thing.
Yeah, very Jaws.
Even though the monster in it, I don't think, if I remember correctly, the monster in it isn't, yeah, it's behind you. That's not the creature that's in the frickin' movie.
No, not at all. That looks like one of the heads of the tentacles, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But that's what they used for the poster. And I was like, nah, that's not it.
It was originally given an R rating by the MPAA, but not for violence or gore. It was for language. Did you know
That
that?
makes sense. Well, that makes sense. There's a lot of language in this.
Well, apparently there was more. There were over 20 F-bombs in the movie. As an appeal, producers removed all utterances of the F word with the exception of 2. So many are dubbed over with words like, can you fly, sucker? Or we killed that mother thumper.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or what the shit? When Val is overlooking the dead sheep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Before we get to casting, we'll do some scenes, but I have to tell you, man, Kevin Bacon kills me in this movie. He's hilarious in some parts. What the hell? What the hell is going on?
Yeah. See, and that's one of our biggest phrases.
I know.
We use that all the time. But yeah, he was overblown those first 2 scenes, but once he kind of calms down a little bit, well, once he gets scared, he's less frustratingly over the top and much more. He reminded me a lot of, what's his name from Aliens? Bill Paxton's character.
Bill Paxton. Yeah, you know what? That's a great comparison because he becomes as lovable as Bill Paxton in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Ward's character calms down into this big brother.
Father. Yeah.
Father figure, which works too. Yeah. He's good in everything. If I had to pick what's a good scene with him?
With Kevin or with Earl?
With Kevin.
There's a bunch. There's that one I just mentioned where he lifts the hat off and the guy's face is under it and he just goes, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? He says it twice in a row, which is what makes it so funny.
Yeah. That was good.
I mean, it's like what you would do if you had a spider on your hand. It's great.
Exactly.
It's a visceral reaction.
So true. I was the same way with another scene I liked a lot. I liked the store owner's death, the Asian guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was a tragic death. It came out of nowhere, which was great, and it was very Jaws centric.
It was clearly inspired by Jaws.
Yeah, the back and forth as it's chewing down on him and he's screaming is very Quint.
I know. It's so funny. We can't get away from keys in this movie. That's why I thought we would have fun doing it.
And I love the screenplay. I love the plant and the payoff of the Coke machine. Because they hint at it twice when it kicks on and that compressor's so loud and it's almost vibrating. And you're going, oh, that's going to come back. Oh, that's going to come back.
And the movie is so smart. One of my favorite scenes is when they're like, everybody be quiet. And then all of a sudden you hear that little girl on her pogo stick. Boing, boing, boing.
Get going, get going, get going, get going.
And the first time you see her, she's going 641, 642.
Yeah.
She's counting.
Yeah.
But that scene slays me every time. And then there's also, you see the punk kid that you don't like dribbling a basketball, and you're in your head going, what the fuck, dude? Stop dribbling the basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the way Ron plays into the audience knows what the characters don't know. That whole Alfred Hitchcock kind of thing, which I guess is also a good key now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Because we had mentioned that before, how you're ahead of the characters.
Yep. One of the scariest scenes to me is one of my favorites, which is the scene, the older guy and his wife who are building the house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that whole scene, from them being sitting there looking at the stars to then getting scared to him getting caught, then her going to the car and it almost kills her, and then it just eats the whole car. I mean,
Yeah, you think she's going to be okay, and then it just eats the whole car. It pulls the car down.
Which is a great sequence. I even love the last shot of long shot of the hills and the desert, and you see the headlights of the car, and then they just slowly go out when they're buried. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah, I've got a key to that as well.
Yeah, that was a great sequence. I really liked it.
Agreed. And I was trying to think of other scenes. Well, you have the whole floor is lava thing with them hopping on top of buildings.
Well, and the pole vaulting, the going from rock to rock, that was the biggest example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think of what scene, probably just so we get a little bit of Reba McEntire. I love when she is with Michael Gross and they're doing like an inventory of what they're going to take, and she's like spouting off all these crazy weapons. It just sounds so funny coming out of her mouth. I didn't copy any of the lines, so I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they're very technical.
Well, I liked all three of her big dialogue scenes, which were all like that.
Mm-hmm.
The very first one was her talking about the weapons. Her second one was when she gives her gun to him, saying, well, you can't take that. That's a 257. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you need this for the penetration.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, damn, girl.
And then the scene when they're on the roof saying, what do you think about taking? Well, I'm thinking of this. Well, what about da, da, da? Yeah. All three of those worked for me. I did not, however, like the scene when they're attacked in the basement. It went on for like 35 minutes of them shooting. And I was going, okay, really?
What basement?
When they're in their bunker basement and the worm attacks, and they have the false bit where it cuts to everybody and you think they're dead, and then everybody in town starts hearing the gunshots.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to it's the scene that ends with him saying, you picked the wrong fucking basement or whatever. He's screaming it at the dead worm.
Right. And it's they almost use the gunfire as a comedic element because of how long it goes on.
Yeah. It stretches the point a little bit. I did not like that scene. But I do like those two as characters, and I can easily see how if Ward and Bacon are wanting too much money and don't want to come back, oh, well, then let's get the gun guys.
Yeah.
Although it would have been great if Reba had come back. I don't know if she did.
I want to say Kevin Bacon may have come back for an episode of the show. I can't remember.
Huh.
But I may be wrong. I may be completely talking out of my ass, but it seems like somebody else came back more recently. I don't know. Okay, well, that's pretty much all of the scenes, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of good scenes in this.
As long as you're willing suspension of disbelief, just sit down and enjoy the ride
right
from the beginning, then this movie works as
the scenes with the
comedy and scary.
Mm-hmm. The scenes with the seismologist in the beginning were, again, we know what she doesn't know, and she's like all these near misses of getting wormed, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
And drives off. And then there's the scene where Kevin and Earl get stuck in their car because he backed up into like some rocks, and they don't realize it until they get into town that actually it had them and one of its tentacles was ripped off. Yeah. And they start calling him Stubby.
Yep.
That's the nickname they give that particular one. So there's all kinds of fun scenes like that. I can move on to cast if you want.
Sure.
It's a big one. This I have before cast. Almost all the actors were cast through open auditions, a rare practice for studio films. There were offers, however, for the role of Val to Bill Paxton, Matthew Modine, and Bruce Campbell. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Among others, before the Universal cast Kevin Bacon due to his star power. Jack Palance was considered for the part of Earl, but Ron Underwood was too afraid to ask him. So he ended up asking him to be in City Slickers, his next film.
Okay.
I think that's funny. Brent Maddox said that while writing the script, he imagined Burt Gummer being played by either Chuck Norris or Clint Eastwood.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. Kevin Bacon, I'm going to read this verbatim because I thought this was interesting. He originally resented being in Tremors, only agreeing to do it because he needed money for his new marriage and upcoming newborn child. When the film was not financially successful, Bacon feared his career was over and in the following years would refuse to acknowledge the film's existence and even called it the worst thing he had ever done. However, Bacon would eventually come around to Tremors, calling the film of Tremors to be the single most fun time he's ever had making a movie in his entire career.
Okay.
In 2012 and later, admitting in a 2020 interview, when I was making Tremors, I was very depressed and at a low point in my life, and I blamed Tremors for all that. I was bitter against it. I thought it was a career killer. I've never watched my movies more than once. Some of my movies I never even see, and I have no desire to. But I've watched Tremors a dozen times. I love it so much, and I spent years trying to capture the same energy we had on that set of Tremors. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
Wow.
So he had a total 180 on his opinion of the movie. And I see why. If it's a bad part of your life, that was what was happening at the time.
Well, also it was, you can look back. I'm like him. I don't like looking back at performances that I'm in ever. So I can easily understand, especially like we've said, if you were over the top and the director let you just go crazy at the few scenes at the beginning.
Yeah.
That would leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to think of things that had been out before this with him in it other than Footloose. And Animal House, I didn't realize was his first film. I thought it was Friday the 13th.
Yep.
So Ray Liotta was also considered for that role. That would have been strange.
That would have been strange. I could see him doing the Fred Ward role, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of Fred Ward, he was in The Right Stuff, which I watched recently, as well as several. I always think of him as Joe Action Hero because of that Remo Williams movie, but he was a Robert Altman guy. He's done several Robert Altman movies, including The Player and Shortcuts.
He's a big improvist from what I read in research.
Okay.
He likes to really feel the character and play and that's why he works well with Altman.
He does really good in this. I had never really thought of him as, he was never on my radar until I saw this, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
Earl Bassett, John Voight was also considered for the role of Earl Bassett. And I don't know. I just don't like John Voight.
I hate him anyway. I was just about to say I hate him anyway. So
I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Nope.
And speaking of which, I'm not a real fan of Finn Carter, the woman that plays the lead seismologist.
Yeah.
She's forgettable. It turns out she was a soap opera actress on As the World Turns and did lots of television movie. She was married to Steven Weber briefly. Mm-hmm. However, in 2019, she was arrested in Las Vegas for using credit cards that belonged to someone else and I guess booked for grand larceny.
Really?
Yeah. So Finn has not had a very good life since Tremors, I don't think. And I thought I would bring that up. That's why we haven't seen her really in anything else.
She should have taken her pants off earlier in the movie or something. I don't know.
That's a great scene, though, because it's so smart. Even though I know it's to get some leg in the movie.
Yeah.
But if your legs get wrapped in barbed wire, what do you do? Take your pants off.
Yeah.
I agree.
Makes sense.
Anyway, Michael Gross plays Burt Gummer, We know him mainly from Family Ties. He's been a steadily working TV and film actor ever since. He began filming Tremors on the day after Family Ties wrapped. That's
Real.
pretty fast. Yeah. He's the only actor to perform in every film and the series as well. Well, as in every film in the series and the television series. So, like I said, it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Reba McEntire plays his wife, Heather. This was her debut. I mentioned that already. But she has been on TV and Broadway ever since. She's one of those EGOTs. She's not an EGOT, I don't think, but she could be. No. She's got potential.
Yeah, and Reba fell into a great niche of just being a multi-talent that's really good and knows her skill sets.
Kind of like Dolly.
I was going to say Dolly, Delta Burke. That they knew right where they fit in, and that worked great, and they just stay in those lanes. And that's worked really well for her in all of her series. She has a new series, right?
Yeah, she's done a new one with the same girl that was in her old one.
Yeah. And I think it's set in Tennessee or something. But
yeah, it's doing well. Almost everything she does well. From what I understand, she's the best Annie Oakley they've ever had on Broadway, and they want her back. They really want her to do a revival of it. So she's very well respected on Broadway, too.
Well, that is her. She could easily play Annie Oakley.
Right.
I mean, and especially this character. This character that'd be a great key. She kind of is the Annie Oakley of this movie.
Yeah, she is.
Penetration.
There's a few other character actors in here. Charlotte Stewart played Nancy. The only reason I mentioned her is she's a David Lynch woman. She was in Eraserhead.
Yep.
But she also played the school teacher on Little House on the Prairie. Which makes me think that's why David Lynch cast her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Tony Gennaro played Miguel. Ariana Richards plays Mindy, the pogo stick girl.
Yeah,
Did you recognize her?
It was like the second scene with her, and I was going, wait, that face. Wait, is that the Jurassic Park girl?
It is.
And I had to look her up, and yes, it was.
She played Lex in Jurassic Park a few years later. I can't remember when Jurassic Park came out, 93, I think. So it would have been 3 years later. She's great in both movies, but she drives me crazy. I can't stand her really in either movie either. So, yeah.
Well, you don't do well with the kids.
I don't do well with the kids. You don't like British children, and I just don't like children.
Right. Well, her credits do have Tremors 3, though. So she
probably needed the money.
Yeah.
Kid actors don't usually do that well.
That's true.
Richard Marcus played Nestor. He was Arnold from Enemy Mine. And I believe that was Brian James' sidekick, if I'm not mistaken. Your favorite.
Yeah, my favorite.
Brian James.
Right.
And lastly, Victor Wong played Walter Chang, the store owner you mentioned.
Yep.
We love him. He is a big John Carpenter staple. He was in Prince of Darkness, as well as Big Trouble in Little China. As far as awards, what?
BB Besh is in this too. And
who was she?
She was the woman in the car, the doctor's wife.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have them in here.
And that's Carol Marcus from Wrath of Khan.
So, she looked familiar. I should put that in here. Okay.
Yeah, she's another one of those. It took like the third scene. I think it was once they were trying to go over to the pit, and I saw her face. I was going, oh, that's who that is. I was trying to remember.
Yeah, she's the son of Kurt, or the mother of Kurt's son.
David, yes.
Mm-hmm. As far as awards, the Saturn Awards nominated it for Best Science Fiction Film. It lost to Total Recall. Supporting Actress, Finn Carter. Supporting Actress, Reba McEntire. And Special Effects. But it lost to Back to the Future Part 2 with Special Effects. I'm not sure who the actresses lost to. They lost to Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost.
Oh, okay.
which you were kind of ragging on not long ago. This movie is not on the 1001 movies you must see before you die list. I understand that. I don't have a
I do
problem with
too.
that. Yeah.
It's an elevated drive-in movie sort of thing, so to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Before we move on to keys, did you have any trivia or?
The only trivia I really found that you haven't already said was I thought was interesting. They have the success of Short Circuit, and their agent is the one that basically said, dig up some old ideas. If you have scripts ready to go, you're hot right now. We need to get you out there. And the one script that they were shopping around was called Land Shark, which was this story. But so many people said that the title reminded them of Saturday Night Live, so they had to change the title.
Yeah.
And when they changed the title for production, it was called Beneath Perfection, which I thought is a really cool title.
That is a good one.
But not very scary.
Mm-mm.
So I could understand why they went to Tremors as the title for the actual film. But I thought Beneath Perfection is a pretty cool title.
Yeah, it is. I have that composer Robert Folk was brought in at the very last minute to rescore the film. The original score was from Ernest Troost. Approximately 30 minutes more was written by Folk and strangely goes uncredited in the film's credits. Oddly enough, both scores are used in the film. Troost is the more westernly and country-like, and Folk's is the one where the trumpets and the scares come in. Brass. Okay. So it's a little unusual that it had two composers. One thing I found interesting, the film notably never answers where the worms or graboids, which is what Walter Chang calls them, came from. Co-writer and producer S.S. Wilson felt there were only 4 possible options. They were aliens, long dormant prehistoric life, worms mutated by radioactive waste.
In the desert,
or creatures genetically engineered by the government, funded by mad scientists.
Yeah.
Since more savvy moviegoers would be expecting those twists, the filmmakers felt it would be more interesting to leave room for sequels if there was no definitive answer. And I agree with that. And that's a very Night of the Living Dead thing to do. Yeah, don't explain it. Just they're there.
Agreed. And it works. There are times when it doesn't. There was a recent one we just covered where I said they didn't explain anything, and that bothered me all the way through it.
Oh, it was the one we did last week, wasn't it?
Well, or maybe it was X-Files Declassified. We were talking about it.
Oh, actually, you're right. It was X-Files. It was X-Files.
But for this one, it didn't bother me. I guess mostly because, like he said, you're assuming one of those 4 is what caused it. So it works, and the focus is much more on survival than it is on what is their origin so we can determine how to kill them. Because they kind of know how to kill them from the very beginning. They kill the worm, and her introduction to the worm is she kills it. So that kind of worked.
Yeah.
I thought it was, and yeah, these were practical effects. So from a production angle, I wanted to mention that. That's great and sorely missing now with where we are with modern digital effects and all of that. So even down to, there's a documentary that I watched a section of, and they put like this, almost like a rubber baffle for a cargo ship. So it's probably like 4 or 5 feet in diameter and about 6 feet long, and it's all plastic rubbery. They would dig a trench, bury that with a cable on it, and then that's what they pulled to move the desert. And I thought that was a great idea. So practical effects rather than CG.
Yeah, even the fun stuff, like when they blow it up and get pelted with just gore.
Which is
like bright orange, nasty shit.
Yeah, which was great. Love it.
Yeah. Keys?
Keys. My first one was from the very beginning, which is, I said, this is very Evil Dead or Sam Raimi-esque, which is kind of like goes on in your line with Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That comedy horror blend.
I'm comparing it to zombie movies too, because I said Night of the Living Dead as well. Well, I'll say Night of the Living Dead just for the no explanation thing. There's other movies that do it too, but that's the one that comes to mind immediately.
Well, my second one is Bug-Eyed Monster movies are those 50s influence movies that heavily influence this. Them especially, because you have all these isolated people out in the outskirts being killed, and you don't connect it together until like half an hour into the movie. Same thing with Monolith Monsters.
Agreed.
But all of those are keys to the plotting approach.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned Jaws. I was going to say Jaws. Well, other than Land Shark and other than the fact that Walter gets eaten by it like Quint in the Jaws movie, just the whole concept of evil being below you and you not knowing where it is very Jaws-ish. So a lot of the shots remind you a bit of Jaws, where it like is moving up and you are the POV of the worm too.
Yep.
So
yeah, that whole coming through the ground right up to your foot as you get in the truck. Yeah.
Right.
And then the overhead shots of you're on a rock and you can see it moving around the dirt, circling them.
Well,
yeah,
and
very Jaws feel.
Well, I was going to say what you just described is very Dune, which is another key. Is being able to see the worm move in the sand.
A giant worm in the sand will always be Dune. There's no way around it.
Right.
I've got Duel, the Steven Spielberg movie, just because of the ending, because they chase it off and they do that whole slow motion of it falling down the cliff. And
oh my God, that's great. I didn't even think of that, but that is perfect.
And it's a very Duel-inspired kind of shot.
Very Spielberg-y. Yeah, for sure. Really, the only other ones I have, we've already mentioned. I mentioned Critters because for some reason I think of them as tumbleweeds. That movie was much more lower budget, I would say, because they literally had like fur-covered basketballs that they just rolled onto the set.
Yeah. Well, and although it does have two great alien bounty hunters in it, which are really good. One's Michael Mann.
Yeah, he was in Chorus Line, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the assistant. But the only other one I've got, well, we have to mention all the sequels. So you mentioned already all the sequels, a television series, all of that. So it's had a legacy going down or moving forward. That was it that I had.
Well, I had said Hitchcock for the whole us knowing what the characters don't know, and you mentioned SNL because the whole Land Shark thing did play into it a lot
and changed what they did or how they did it. Yeah.
But yeah, agreed. Any movies that not necessarily, well, I mean, you're right. Most of them were bug-eyed monster movies, but any of those movies where you're isolated in a town, for that matter, you could say Salem's Lot.
Well, something imprinted on me when I read the novel, and it has never gone away. And every time I see isolation in the desert, it doesn't matter if it's a CSI episode where an agent is struggling in the desert or whatever, for some reason, I immediately click on Desperation by Stephen King. And I do not know why, but I have somehow in my brain, it is formulated around terror in the desert and fear in the desert is desperation.
It is a small desert-like town. It is.
Yeah. And except it's an entity taking over people, but still scary monsters in the desert.
And it's also got a lot of brown recluses in it. Yeah.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm surprised I didn't even think of that. It's not one of my favorite books of his.
I always remember because the creature says ack or something, or that's the way it talks, or that's its name, or something. I don't know. That book imprinted. I only read it once, and it's never been turned into a movie or a series.
Oh yeah, it has. It's got Ron Perlman in it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
really?
It does.
Seriously?
Ron Perlman plays the sheriff that goes ack. It was a sister book of a Richard Bachman novel called The Regulators, and I like The Regulators better than I liked Desperation.
I remember reading those at the same time because he published those back to back, right?
They came out together as twin books, yeah.
Wow, King Legacy. Anyway, any other keys?
I know that's going to do it. I will we can sum up though by saying I enjoy this movie. I don't dislike this movie at all. But I have never seen the sequels, and I have a feeling I wouldn't like them.
Well, we both kind of share that sentiment. I do think that this is a classic popcorn movie, or check your brain at the door, drive in, whatever, that quality, but done well.
There's a reason it's popular.
Yeah, and obviously a cast and writer and director and production designers and everything that cared about what they were doing and didn't want to make it so silly.
I will say one last thing.
Yeah.
Watching this and looking over his resume, I have a strong appreciation for Kevin Bacon now. I have never seen the movie Footloose, and I couldn't tell you anything about it. But I have seen him in early movies like we talked about, Animal House, Friday the 13th, this. But now I have seen him in modern movies, and I think he is a really solid actor. I like him, and I don't understand how Tom Cruise exceeds him in popularity. Because if you had to put them together in a film, he's going to outshine. And he was in A Few Good Men, wasn't he? Which is a Tom Cruise movie.
Yes.
Kevin Bacon's in it.
Yeah, he's the one that has to put on the stand. And
But
if you have not seen JFK, he is great in JFK, and he's great in Apollo 13.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had some great films, and he's got a cool wife who's also a great actress.
And he's in a new Supernatural show on Amazon that I've been thinking about watching as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a series. But I just wanted to put that out there because you hear me trash Tom Cruise every time you pick a movie with him in it.
Yes. True.
And I would just like to say that I will take Kevin Bacon over Tom Cruise any day.
That's what we should do. Next time we do a Tom Cruise movie, you just have to substitute in your head, this is Kevin Bacon.
Or we'll just do a double feature, one of each.
Yeah, there you go. To balance the taste buds out. Yeah.
Right. For sure.
Well, that's what Tim and I think about Tremors, the 1990 giant worm in the desert movie. Well, would love to hear what you guys think. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What was your first experience with it? How many times have you seen it? Are you a Kevin Bacon fan? Let us know down below in the comments.
I'll give you $25 for it.
Please like, subscribe, go to Amazon, give us a review, go to Apple, give us a review. That always helps us find new people. If you do like what you have seen here today and want more, we have a website, of course, with all of our episodes. And this YouTube channel, of course, has all of our episodes going back. We also have a Patreon that you guys can look up and join and be a part of and help support the show. We would love to have your support for that. It just helps us defray costs of continuing to do this, since everybody in the world has a podcast now. We want ours to be good. So we have free content there as well as additional paid content. And Tim, next time we're going to be science fiction-y. Oh yeah. I'm curious to see what you'll think about next week's episode.
I can't remember what it is.
We'll
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay. I'll be very curious to see, and you guys have to come back to see what Tim thinks of next week's episode.
I don't think I've seen it since it came out.
You probably haven't.
Okay.
So there you go. But I'll see you then.
All right. I'll see you then.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Start the car. Johnny has the key.